Yeah.
Kidding.
Unfortunately, we don't live in a world that's so benevolent where we can all say, "Hey, let's just stop for a couple weeks, let the earth breathe." Let's stop doing this, let's stop doing that.
Yeah,
Let's
no way.
no,
Yeah.
because we do live in a world very ruled by greed.
Dude, that kind of reminds me of Trilogy a little bit, actually.
Huh?
Like
Yeah.
and this is my interpretation a little bit, but I feel like there's some talk of rest and
Oh
against
yeah.
kind of like the machine
Yep. Oh yeah.
relationship. Yeah, man's
Wow.
relationship
Thanks
with
for
the
thanks for
machine.
listening. You took a deep dive apparently because you noticed that. I appreciate that.
Oh, dude, I love it, man. I listened to it the day it came out,
Thank you.
and the video too. Yeah.
You know what's funny, and I think you're gonna love this, because
Mm.
when when you're in Silent Planet, you always had a heart for this, and it's a difficult thing to do in metal, but it's collaboration.
Mm.
As you know, collaboration is difficult in technical metal because there's so much complexity that it can be difficult for it to be a conversation with more than one person.
Yeah.
It's writing a metal song can sometimes feel like you're like an architect,
Mm.
and typically there will be like an architect that sort of tries to plan things out initially before a team comes in.
Yeah.
But Trilogy actually was a very collaborative song,
Mm.
by far the most collaborative thing we've ever done as a band.
Mm.
All four of us were in the room throwing out ideas. I even had like ideas musically, and the whole thing just like was very collaborative. And
Mm.
what's special is that it's definitely one of our most well received songs, and it's really cool for us as a band to be like, whoa, like we did that, as a
Yes.
band, instead of like 80-90% of it being one guy on the musical front at least, and then like 80-90% of it just being my lyrics, and then we come together.
Yeah.
And even on a lyrical side, I mean, yeah, it still was 80-90% me, but the band came in with a very crucial 10% that,
Mm.
so quantitatively what they contributed was 10%. Qualitatively it felt like they contributed half of the song, because
Wow.
it felt so big what they did. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it was a very collaborative experience for us as a band,
It
and
sounds focused too, which I think
that's cool.
is cool because I think that's what you kind of risk
Yeah,
losing when you bring in more people, and that's why
totally.
you have
Yeah, I was talking to someone about that, like, and I know you've thought a lot about this. Someone told me there's a spectrum between vision and collaboration,
Mm.
and you can have someone with all the vision, or you
Yeah.
can have complete collaboration, as collaborative as you get. I don't know what that would look like, but complete and utter collaboration. And usually, so it falls somewhere between the two. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to a song, and obviously the goal is to have both.
Mm.
To meet, I guess, to meet right in the middle. And maybe a spectrum's not the right thing, because I don't think that it has to be either or, but typically there's sort of, when you look at the creative process, you could sort of look at it, to simplify it and maybe water it down. You could sort of look at it as vision and collaboration, and like
Yeah.
where does it fall for
Y-
someone?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of depends on the goal of the band or whatever it is
Sure,
too.
yeah, totally.
Because if you want your audience to feel like it represents them, then I feel like that's where you want to share like a collaborative process.
Hmm.
Because if it represents four people, I think it's more likely that it can represent 100 people or 1,000 people or so on. But then I think too,
I've
like
never
if
thought of
it's
it that way. Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, because I think on the other side, if it's all vision, then you might be more like making something that people observe, and which is really
Yeah.
important, super
Yeah.
significant to have both. But it's more like, right, people can just be like, "That's incredible! I can't believe that someone focused and did something that great that no one else has done before."
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point you make, because I mean, this better than anyone, as someone who's been in this band. We've kind of like we've definitely occupied space as a band that's like kind of just more observed than really like consumed or like really taken in. We've
Yeah.
at times kind of been more of a band that people say, "Oh, that's interesting, that's cool," you know,
Yeah.
and then at times, but I also say that as someone that is living off of this music, which means that to some degree it's being consumed. It's you know enough people are putting money towards this band,
Yeah.
whether it's the least lucrative for us way, which is them just streaming the music, or
Yep.
it's the most lucrative and helpful way for us, which means they're going to a show and they're buying a T-shirt, you know.
Yes.
But regardless of what it's been, to some degree, it's been consumed or taken in or what, however you look at it, um, by people. But then there's also been times where we've done stuff like it's like I've had the luxury of we've never put out music and wholesale seeing it being rejected. People say this sucks. That hasn't
Mm.
happened to us. I mean, not
Solid. Yeah.
wholesale. I mean, obviously, you know, there are people that hate our music. You know, the lead singer of the incredible rock band Trapped tells me constantly how bad I am at music. You know, and you know, good
Oh.
for him. I always tell him he's right. You know, he's always like, "You suck." I'm like, "I know, tour with me. Teach me how to stop sucking." You know,
Hey, you're
so
talking to the lead singer of Trap, man. You're living the dream.
I am, right? Like
Yeah.
when the lead singer of Trap hates you, you know that you made it.
You can't be mad.
That's the new marker for success. Is does he hate you? You did it. But yeah, anyways, all that to say, we haven't wholesale ever felt rejected. But what
Mhm.
we have done, even recently, is put out music, and it felt like, yeah, people were observing it, but people weren't really like, it wasn't being taken in a real
Mm.
visceral way. And so yeah, that's a really good point you make.
But
And I think,
Trilogy,
yeah,
has it felt like people are investing into
yes,
it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen that. I've seen that.
yeah.
And the video too. Maybe you could talk about the video a bit?
Oh man, we are we are extremely fortunate to have uh like a best friend, and
Mm.
I mean that to like the individuals and to the band as a whole. A best friend named Kevin in Atlanta, who we gave him the chance to he shot our video, and it was the first music video he ever did, and it was
Wow.
by far the best. When he finished it, it was by far the best video we had ever had, and it's still one of my favorite things that ever happened for us, which was the music video for Panic Room. And so
Mm.
he did that. He did such a great job, and we were just like, yeah, like we're married, like yeah, like we're gonna like give you all of our video stuff. And at the
Mm.
time when we said, hey man, we're gonna give you all of our video stuff, we thought that we were giving him an opportunity and a blessing, but now we are definitely not something he needs. He's shooting commercials for some of the biggest companies in the world now,
Mm.
and we are so thankful that he still believes in what we do,
Mm.
because now what we do is a passion project for him.
Wow.
And like yeah, he makes money from it, but he does not need it. He's
Mm.
doing it out of passion and out of love, and so it feels like he's a fifth member of the band, to be honest with
Mm.
you. And so
Yeah.
shooting music videos for us is by far the most fun we have, because it feels like the culmination of everything. And the music video is incredibly this collaborative process where we just sit
Mm.
down at a coffee shop, what are we going to do, and then we just execute it. You
Yeah.
know, like we have crazy ideas, and then Kevin says that's possible, don't think that's possible. And then Kevin saying, is that possible to me? Then I'm calling the label, and they're saying, no, that's not possible. You know, like on a financial basis, you know.
Yeah.
But like we are just we just get to dream together. And
Mm.
unlike music where you have like in music, I'm the one that's kind of sometimes dreaming that my bandmates are saying this is possible or not. And then kind of the roles get reversed, and I'm a bit more aware of like what the budgets and what the logistics look like, because as
Yeah.
you know, we were trying to figure out music video stuff in 2011 2012, and we couldn't. It was so difficult
So difficult.
to
Another thing
find.
on top of the
Yeah,
recording music, the writing music, the
exactly,
show, I mean, the
exactly.
merch, there's so many elements. And that's, I mean, I was really impressed, right? Because it just, that was just as focused. It really didn't seem like there were any shortcuts in the process. It was just another, like
No,
you said, a fifth member of the band, an extension.
exactly. Well, but before we even recorded the song, I was bouncing video ideas off of Kevin.
Mm.
And there's actually a couple lyrics that I actually did because I knew it would be in the video. And so
Oh
that,
wow,
and
dude.
yeah, and that's the first time that's ever happened for us. But
Oh man, that's cool.
because the process was that I was supposed to finish recording it, but then I ended up going to a mental hospital,
Okay.
and we dropped off a tour and this whole thing. And so I was writing at the mental hospital, and I basically scheduled to record it like 2 days after I got out, so that I could just, because we had a quick turnaround in mind. We really wanted it to come out before the tour, so people would have a chance to listen to it, and so that we could get, so that the song could actually be a real live experience. And so
Definitely.
um we were so we we were so thankful to have this amazing label that agreed to like allot the funds to shoot a video and all this stuff before they even knew what was on the table. We just
Yeah,
said, we have a song, it's going to be good, just trust us. And they just trusted us, and they
that's
just,
rad.
sure, whatever you need, you know,
Mm.
because of having a label like that instead of having a major label that's like, well, let me CC HR. Okay. Well, you know, Karen over in accounting is saying to Jeff over in marketing, like none of that bullshit. We just,
More fast guitars, more drums.
yeah, yeah, they just said sure, like whatever you want to do. And
Yeah.
that's why we love, like, our label is awesome. Like
Mm.
Solid State Records, Solid State Tooth and Nail, like they they just want to get shit done.
Yep.
They don't have any patience for bureaucratic nonsense, which is awesome. So
Beautiful.
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and then so tell me about maybe the lyric process for you in that song. So
Yeah, so
right
it was
before it
it was very
released, yeah.
it's very different than anything I'd done in the past. Everything I'd done in the past had been very cerebral, very thought out, very like, okay, I like, you know, I have inspiration from this author, this, and I put it together almost more like kind of a research paper a bit.
Yeah.
And I still like to do that, and I'm sure I'll do that for some songs still.
I mean,
But
have you seen any other band like cite things and use footnotes the way that you do?
no, not that I've seen. I'm
Yeah.
sure someone did it before me, but I didn't know about it. For
It's
me,
awesome.
like, it was like having a extreme love, as you know, for like Aaron Weiss, Me Without You's lyrics, and then also being in school and being kind of a nerdy guy. And so those
Yeah.
two things just came together, you know,
Mm.
writing artsy, emotional, sort of poetry inspired music with a lot of sort of research, or and also just kind of a desire to cite my inspirations. I think a lot of artists could, maybe not all artists, but I think a lot of artists could do footnotes if they wanted to.
Yep.
I know you could. I know your process well enough to
Mm.
know you could you could uh you could basically put a little number, you know, behind a lyric, and cite the inspiration. It doesn't even have to be always a book or an author. You could just say like on a beach, you know, and
Mm.
list the date that you were on a beach, you know, like,
Oh, I see.
or you could cite, you know, a conversation. You could just say someone's name, you know, you could
Yeah.
say, you know, Jason Scribner, you know,
Yeah.
I think I actually referenced Jason in
No, yeah, yeah, I
earlier.
remember. I
Um, you know, like, it could just be from a person, you know,
yeah.
from a conversation. I just happened to maybe pull my footnotes a bit more from like dead authors and books and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's getting inspired all the time. But all that's to say, to answer your question, this inspiration for Trilogy was way more from the gut, way more just like this fast emotional thing that came together while I
Yeah.
was at this mental facility.
Mm.
And yeah, the song is what it needed to be, you know.
Mhm.
I wasn't in a place to research. I honestly didn't even really have as much time to research as I would like to, because they really restricted our access to electronics.
Yeah.
So even some of this was even written by hand, which was also the first time I've ever wrote things down by hand.
Mm.
which I think I'll be doing more in the future. But yeah,
Yeah. So any footnotes on these lyrics?
no, none.
Not one.
There probably
Wow.
could be. Like if I sat
Yeah.
down, I said I
Yeah.
need to put footnotes on it, but it didn't. The process didn't feel like it lent itself to having footnotes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. And I think you can hear it, I feel like too. You can hear it in the song that it's very present. It's a moment,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
not as much thought. It's all emotion
yeah.
and
I
you
mean, the
feel it
beginning of the
immediately.
song, I just scream no
No.
for like 15 seconds. I
I like
just
how that looks
full,
on the lyrics, dude. It's just like no, and then there's just a space.
yeah.
It's cool.
No, because it like that gives you an idea of how visceral it was. I'm just like, no, like
Mm.
that's that was that because like I typically haven't been like the metal guy that holds out the long
Oh.
like the long scary screams because like I'm saying words, I'm not
Yeah.
just making sounds.
Well, thank
Uh,
God. No.
but this actually made sense both
Mm.
just to say an angry sound, but also the word no, uh, because like that is what I was saying for months.
Mm.
And what I was saying when I was being brought into mental hospital, So it's like that was it. Just
No.
no. Like a toddler, just like
Mm.
indignant against all of the forces surrounding it. Just yeah.
Yeah. Was that something like I can't imagine you being able to expect anything? Like, did you go in having an expectation that it would be feeling that way, or
No,
you just
it's
kind of, yeah.
funny. Leading like when I talked to my family and we chose like the place that I was gonna go, I I had mixed feelings, very mixed feelings. And then and so I saw some pros and some cons, but the moment it's actually started, it was all cons. It was all no, you know. It was I don't know, like maybe like someone who's going to give birth, they're like, yeah, something beautiful is going to come out of this, but it's going to be painful. But then I think the moment they go into labor, it's probably for most people just like, oh no, like
Yeah.
it's no, not to say that the no means I don't want this baby to live, or I don't want this baby, but the pain
Yeah.
and the just outright agony, which I can't even imagine what that's like. But I've talked to enough women to know that it's awful.
Yeah.
The pain part of it at least is awful.
Yeah.
And so I don't imagine that they are writing beautiful poems about the nature of giving birth. They're
Mhm.
just like, pain has a way of bringing us into a moment
Yeah.
in fucking sorry
Yeah.
language, just nailing us to a wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
and uh and I felt nailed to the wall,
Yep.
when I was being brought in there. There's nothing beautiful or intellectual about it. It just sucked. And so screaming no for 15 seconds is like is a great, for me, a great representation of how I felt.
Yeah. Did you get to play Trilogy live
Oh
22
yeah.
times? Yes.
Yeah, well, and so that's why we really sped up the timeline. It's like, get out of the hospital. They already finished the song. I already had heard the song. I wrote the lyrics to the song. We finished the song. We had it mixed a week later, mastered a week later, submitted to the program that puts it into the streaming services and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Distribution, right?
Yeah, distribution, which takes a bit longer because our label's trying to get, yeah, they just have a way of doing it. So getting that in on time,
Well, you do vinyl
getting the
too,
music
though, but
video
not for
shot.
this one.
No, yeah, just because
Okay.
it's
Because that
single.
takes forever, man.
We did think that doing a 7-inch and then like having a demo or something on it would be cool too, but yeah, it just didn't, not enough time.
Yep.
So just boom, 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 all that stuff. Um, all being done for the sake of being able to play the song live. That was it. Even the
Mm.
writing process was like, let's make a song that'll be fun to play live,
Mm.
which is why Mitch just gets to play bum bum bum. Just gets to like, like
Yeah.
play power chords in a silent.
Oh, that last
Which by the way,
breakdown is
which by the
heavy,
way,
dude.
that was so Mitch was like messing around on like a chorus production, and he went jum jum jum, and like this chainsaw sounding riff, and was like, oh, that's a bit over the top. That's like Norma Jean, and I'm like, no, that's us. I want to do that, you
Norma
know,
Jean.
because you
Yeah.
always hear bands like Norma Jean just play like filthy, you know, just like yeah, just like
And the
power chords.
lights, right? The lights live, dude.
Yeah,
The light boxes, yeah.
yeah, just like
And they're just hanging,
like
they're
we
lighting
are Norma
fires.
Jean, you know,
People are
mother
throwing
effers, you know.
guitars.
And but Mitch played that, and I'm like, dude, that's it. I love that, and it worked. It like kind of juxtaposed with Thomas's, you know, pretty soaring, relatively high voice. It worked to just have this like brum brum brum, you know,
Yeah.
kind of sound, and it was cool. And but like that was like that's an idea of like something I fought for that. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
that
And
please.
that way, I feel like sometimes when bands sing in metal, it's just musically it changes so much, right? It'll just be like these high chords randomly.
Yeah.
And but
Yep.
I feel like with this, the music, it stays like there's a continuity, right? It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't leave itself in order to do something else. It just
And,
stays,
and
and then Thomas sings, and it's like,
and that's the thing we really want to do. I think, you know, the band Underoath in the
yeah,
metalcore world, I think is so special because there is a continuity to everything they had. Especially, I'm talking mostly about when they were like a metal band, which is for their existence until they came back recently. But you know, from their 2000, especially 2006, 2008, 2010, they put out 3 records that I kind of see as a trilogy. I know
hmm,
they've never said it is, but I see those
for
albums
sure.
as a progression.
Yep.
And you and I have both talked about it. I think
Yeah.
they're really good albums. Not good metal albums, not good screamo albums. I think they're good
Mm,
albums. I think they're just good. I think it's good music. I think it's well done. I think it's well executed. The music has this continuity, and they were able to make continuity and something interesting from a lot of times more simplicity than most bands give you in this genre.
yeah.
And there's a real genius to that band, and I just bring them up because I think that they're if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, like what does continuity look like in
Exactly.
heavy music, I would say, yeah, check out To Find the Great Line or Lost in the Sound of Separation or Disambiguation. Those 3 albums do that really well, and
Yeah, I
other
mean,
bands do that too, but I think they did that very well.
resonated with a lot of people too. Didn't
Yeah.
didn't one of them go like
Gold.
platinum or what? Gold.
Yeah, Define the Great Line went gold. And
Yeah.
it went gold quite a while ago. It went
Yeah.
gold. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lost in the Sound also came close. Interesting fact, Disambiguation didn't sell nearly as well as the other albums.
Yeah.
It didn't sell. It didn't. I mean, it sold better than my band's ever sold, but it didn't sell that well for Underoath.
Yeah. They had
Um,
some changes though.
yeah, their drummer and singer left the band. He's back in the band now.
Mm.
Um, they've kind of radically shifted their sound, but their drummer and singer left the band, and the guy who screams, Spencer, started to scream and sing,
Wait,
which I
Aaron's
think he
back
did
in
a
the band?
fantastic job. Yeah, he's back in the band. Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
like heavy news, dude.
yeah, yeah. So because they put out an album last year or
Mm.
2 years ago.
Okay.
Oh, I think wow, no, it
I
was
think,
two. They put out an album 2 years ago. Um, called I don't know what it's called, but they
yeah.
put out an album. They shifted their sound a
Yeah.
decent amount. Some folks like it, some folks don't, but that's what happens, you know. That's life.
Yeah. Well, very cool. I'm
Yeah,
I'm I'm obviously not an expert in metalcore anymore. It's been a little while,
dude.
but
Honestly,
your fans are gonna be like, that guy doesn't know.
yeah.
Like Underoath, come on.
What is it? Oh
But
man,
did they kind of drop off though?
well,
Underoath?
they stopped
Like
being a
that
band.
album?
So they stopped in 2000. I don't remember. Maybe it was at 13. They did a
Yeah.
farewell tour.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, they did a farewell
I remember
tour.
that.
But I know Spencer, the singer, never wanted them to do a farewell, and
Mm.
so they all got back together and they did some reunion shows in 2016. We played a festival that was part of their reunion tour in Texas, and so that was cool. And then I think they said, hey, let's, why not just keep going? We're having a good time. So they're still a band. I don't think that they maybe are on the full-time grind like a lot of bands, but
Yeah.
I think they do consider themselves an active band. But anyways, yeah. Why did that come up? Yes, continuity in heavy
Mm,
music is possible. It's funny because a lot of people will either say, yeah, I used to be in a heavy band, but I kind of grew out of it, or I used to listen to that heavy music and I grew out of it. And I don't blame people for saying that. I think people are saying that because a lot of heavier music has really no thought behind it. It's a
mm,
lot of times
yep.
it can just be sheer angst and anger for the sake of it, and
Yep.
or it can just be shock value,
Yep.
um, but I do believe that good, real, thoughtful music and lyrics can happen in heavy music, and that's something that my band wants to do. Which, and not to be pretentious, because I don't think we're I don't think we're pioneering it. I just
Mm,
think we're trying to be one of the bands that's actually trying. We're just
yeah.
trying. Like we're trying to do something good and play heavy music, which is possible, maybe difficult, but I think it's always difficult to write good music, whatever your genre is, whatever your
Yeah.
instrument is. It's not easy to do your best. That's
Yep.
not how life works. It's difficult, and but like we think it's worth it. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think Trilogy does that. I think Trilogy does that
I
well.
appreciate that.
So I think it's about, just getting it to more people, because I do believe that um it's thoughtful too. I wanted to ask even more, just even like some details on the lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
What would kind of static represent for you in the song?
Yeah, so um I say static, static, there's no rest for a machine. Only circles and lines in my binary mind. I fade to static. And so I talk about myself as a machine in that song, because my experience of anxiety and depression has kind of been like, has often disconnected me from the things that I love and from emotions, and just made me feel like I'm just trying to survive. I'm just like a machine, like machines. Well, at least for now, until we have like true artificial intelligence.
Yep. Close.
Uh, yeah, we're getting close.
We're
But
close.
when I think of a machine, I think of something that can look perfect and can operate, but it doesn't aspire, and it doesn't feel inspired, and it doesn't say, I
Mm,
want to be better, I want to take a chance, I want to
mm,
make a mistake,
mm,
and so I felt like a machine, just like trying to survive and get through life. um and so I represent my anxiety as like, this is like static inside of a machine, and I'm the machine, and I want to become a human,
mm.
and I'm trying to become a human. And at
Yep.
the end, I limit, but there's nothing human in this room of white, because I was in Belgium. I was literally hauled off by cops to like a white room. It was like just
Mm,
like the movies.
yeah.
um, and yeah, it's not a very human place.
Yep.
And so I was expressing that through the metaphor of a machine. Um, and then Thomas sort of brings in the more hopeful voice. um I mean, he's kind of lamenting my situation, and also kind
Mm,
of the world as a whole, as a very machine oriented world, a
yep.
world that's ran by machines.
Yep.
But he says, what does he say?
Now I know.
Yeah, now I know it's delusion, uh
In
in love
love,
with
the slow
the
demise.
slow demise. And then he says, and then like the prescription, or sort of like what I want people to take away from the song, which is why it's saying beautifully, and it's in the chorus, is be still and human, be still and be complete.
Mm,
um and it's funny because the way that chorus came together is Thomas in the studio just mush mouthed like a melody that he liked,
yeah.
and I loved the melody so much
Mhm.
that I instantly got the lyrics. Instantly, the first time I heard it,
Wow.
I heard him saying something that he wasn't saying, but it just made sense. Be still
Dude.
and human. Well, sorry, not all of it, but the be still for sure. he was like, it sounded like he kind of said pieces. He's like, pieces,
Yeah.
ba-da-na-na,
There's
pieces.
something really special happening
Well,
in
actually,
that.
I think the last ba-da-da was me, because the chorus actually was shorter. It was like,
Mhm.
be still, da da da, be da 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 da. And
Yep.
I was like, no, it needs the 1 2 1 2. I really
Yes.
need that. I
Yes.
need
The
that.
repetition. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and I showed the band what I was thinking, and so that's an example of how collaborative it was. But yeah, he said, "Be still and human, be still and be consumed," and or no, sorry, he doesn't say be still. He says breathe in. I
Breathe
had
in and be
but
consumed.
but then the band's like, yeah, let's mix it up. But yeah, either
Oh,
way.
I see.
But the idea was that the prescription is to be still, because I actually had this huge, for me, anxiety and time are closely related.
Yep.
Like when the sun goes down, almost every day, I I have this mixed feeling, because when the sun's going down, I think the world's, I think most, I don't think it's a unique thought of mine to say the world's at its most beauty.
Mm.
Colors get like deeper and darker, like the sky turns this incredible orange. I mean, our world is at its most beautiful, I think, when the sun is going down and when the sun's coming up. When
Is
the
that
sun's
is that
simply,
where red comes in, or no? Is that different?
no, that's not, that's for me, that's something else. But
Okay. Yeah.
but when the sun goes up and the sun goes down, I get this mixed feeling of like, wow, this is beautiful. But then I often feel like I didn't do enough with my day. I didn't do enough.
Yeah.
And so, but I often find, actually, this philosopher Soren Kierkegaard probably says it best. He says, men rush so quickly to pleasure that they often rush right past it.
Wow.
And I would say humans rush so quickly to get things done that they rush right past getting things done, or at least getting something good.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with that. I've like, I'm gonna conquer the world today, but in like my world conquering, I just get nothing done.
Mm.
And so learning that being still, like just stopping and just taking in a moment and trying to like quiet the thing in the head that's like, do that, do that, do that, and just like, no, just being in a moment, however that looks like for people to meditate, to pray,
Yeah.
is the prescription to me for anxiety.
Mm.
I mean, I'm also on medication and stuff, and I'm not ashamed of that, but the medication will only work if I learn these habits.
Hmm.
Medication can only supplement. Medication can't fix the problem. It's
Yep.
just, it's a tool. Um, so yeah.
Dude, I love your process of finding that uh where is it? Be still and human breathe in.
Yeah.
Like him just mumbling. You see that, I've heard that a lot of times now, where people will just mumble melodies, and
Yeah.
what happens is, like, we discover something deep in our brain that we weren't yet conscious of.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And that's the healing process of creating. um
Yeah. No, absolutely.
yeah, you hear like Tom York, and you hear how
Yeah.
spiritual his Radiohead, their stuff is.
And it
But
makes a lot of sense
yeah.
with that he's mumbling, because he's saying some pretty like wild, outlandish things in his lyrics.
You're just like, yeah, I said apples. Yeah, I said apples. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll run with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll turn it around though. Like it always turns to a beautiful point where,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's
of
definitely not
meaning.
just, yeah. He instills like meaning inside of the chaos for sure. Um,
And it might start with the chaos, right? But then the process of finishing the song, I think, is finding the
yeah.
purpose.
One, the way that the music works, like, my favorite song is Weird Fishes.
Yeah.
And he says like, I like, in the like sort of the emotion, like everything drops off pretty much. He's like, I get eaten by the worms and weird fishes, weird fishes. boom, 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 and the whole, the thing comes in,
Yeah.
and and the band comes in, and like it adds like a meaning to it, sort of like the music does, just the emotion that it does, and it's like all of a sudden it's like I Get Eaten by the Worms,
Mm.
Weird Fishes is like this incredible inspirational lyric.
Wow. That's it. That's it, man. It's like
Yeah,
you could say anything, but it just makes sense, and it makes you feel like it makes you feel peace,
yeah, it does,
like
it really
stillness.
does.
I think what you're talking about too, because music can bring people to. I think what we're discussing, this stillness of breathing and of peace,
Yeah.
and it's like wow. But I think the job of a composer, songwriter, whatever, is to create that environment.
Mm-hmm.